Just give me a level there, Paul.
1 2 1 2.
Perfect. Now, one of the interesting things that you said in the actual press conference, which I must admit was one of the best press conferences I've ever attended. One of the things which you said, which is really interesting, is, Mike, we were never friends. How true is that? Because it looked like there was a lot of camaraderie when the whole Bellator takeover came over to the UK. Just talk me through those words which you threw out there.
We wasn't friends. Like, if, in all honesty, you know, there are very few people that I do call friends. We were colleagues, and we were colleagues that, you know, would maybe on your hour lunch break when you're working in the office would sit down around the table and share a sandwich together. You know, we wasn't friends. I wouldn't call them on the weekend. We wouldn't, you know, arrange to do anything outside of mixed martial arts. So that's why I said we were never friends. And all this friends to foe or this rivalry or this grudge match that he seems keen to latch onto, and I've said it and I will continue to say it because it became apparent today, just seems, as the glasses are, even though he wears them all the time, to disguise his insecurities and his fear. I think he needs to feel like it's a grudge match. He needs to feel like it's a rivalry to disguise the insecurity and the fear that, you know, he says that everybody says this is a test, but he knows this is a real test for him. He knows, not an old cyborg, not a 155 Rickles. This is me, Paul Semtex Daley, who's been in there with the very best, who's beat the very best, who's taken shots from bigger men and harder punches than Page, got knocked down and got back up and continued to finish the fight. And Page has never had to face that before. And he's in for a lot of trouble. I just don't see how he can win. I don't see how he can win.
It's interesting that you say, and you talked about his previous opponents. When I asked him about previous tests, it was interesting to hear his response, just on his previous tests, just on what you have seen him go through. What, if any, tests do you think he's had before you that you would argue is a test which is basically set him apart in terms of, a lot of people have basically said, look, you haven't been tested. You've looked at his fight caliber, you've looked at his opponents. Which one of those has been a test?
That's a very good question. I have looked at a lot of his fights to be more comfortable with what I'm going into face, and I think the fights that have stood out to me, not that they've taught me anything except that the guys that have in there have been genuine guys, was where he went to 7-0 against don't even know the guy's name, but one of his Bellator fights where it went the 3 rounds, he was in the clinch a lot, and the fight against Fernando Gonzalez where he went 3 rounds, and it was not necessarily what Page did or what Page didn't, or what they did or what they didn't. It was more what they brought away from physical capabilities. It was what they brought to him. And I don't want to say too much, and I'm sounding cryptic, and it is what it is. But it's not something that I've based my whole training on or anything like that. It's just that you can see, if you are not blinded by the breakdancing and all the you know, moves that he does in between, and you analyze it as a fighter, especially as a stand-up fighter, a striker in myself, if you analyze his fights properly, you will see that he cannot beat me. You'll see that. If you take everything away and draw it back down to what it is, away from all the dancing and away from all of that, you'll see he can't beat me.
Taking you back to the press conference that literally just occurred, one of the things that I noticed about you was the restraint, was you actually holding back and actually almost biting your lip, because there are things, as you rightly pointed out, that you could talk about, but you didn't. What was it that actually brought you back from the brink? Because it looked as though you were physically restraining yourself from speaking.
And that's what it felt like as well. No, you know what? I came to the fight, and sorry, not the fight. I came to the well, it was like a fight of the minds as such. But I came here to just say my piece and just let let him know that for me, all the talking is over. Like it's all done. I'm not interested in. I'm not going to go back and forth with him about the Tampax, and he can make comments, you know, about things he shouldn't be bringing up, and talking about people who aren't sat up there on the stage. But I'm not gonna respond, because it's all done. We're gonna fight now. So for me, it's like I'm confident, I'm sure, I'm composed, and I'm excited, and there's no reason for me now to make anything more of this. We're going to fight. Everybody's looking forward to the fight. No matter what we said today, everybody was going to tune in anyway. So for me now, it's just, let's get there, Mike. Let's just get to the fight, and let's leave all this behind. And you're right, I made a conscious decision today not to get riled up, because really I'm so well prepared, and I've done things correctly, and I just feel like, let's go. February 16th.
It was clear that he was trying to bait you into an emotional response, an emotive response. He was trying to poke the bear, as it were. Now, you obviously could see that. Do you feel that he needs that to actually goad you into his trap?
I feel like, in part, I feel like his entire game plan and his entire fight plan when we're in the cage is based on that. I feel it's based on him thinking I'm going to fall apart under his talking, his dancing, his break dancing. He's relying on that because he's a counter fighter. He needs people to come forward in order for him to get that right hand off, or in order for him to do that jumping knee. He needs people to come forward, and all of this is just, it's all part of his game plan, effectively. And I'm aware of Mike's fighting ability. I've looked at everything. I've looked at everything, and I'm so prepared, and I've been in there. I've felt it. I felt what he has to bring. I felt it. I've physically been in there with the style of fighters that he is, and I can see why people come unsettled and swing. It's not nice to be put under pressure and they're bouncing back and forward and they're doing all these sharp, darty movements. It's not, and it takes the rounds that I've put in to become composed and settled and stick to what I need to do and finish a fight. And I really feel that that's one of the best things that I've done, is bring these guys in. And I said to him, I don't want you to dance, I don't want you to break dance. Fight me like you would fight him on the mats in this light contact style, because effectively that is what he's still doing. And I felt that, and I'm prepared 100%.
One of the things that he has said online, after seeing your sparring sessions, albeit the 30-second clips that he saw, was that, are you being serious? Are these people really on my level? Now, we only got to see a 30-second snap.
Yeah.
How realistic is he being in his assessment of what he saw?
And do you know what? That 30 seconds, or whatever it was, 6 seconds, I think, was purposely done that way. It was purposely done that way. We put out, obviously we filmed all our rounds, but we put that bit out there on purpose. And if he's seen that and has responded that way, not that we're into these mind games, but we got him. So it's it is what it is. Like, I don't care. Like, sparring is sparring. And you know, and to be honest, I've had reports come back to me, people who you know, fans or whatever, who've heard on the ground, I've heard this about him in sparring, I've heard this happen. You hear it, it's sparring. It's not, it means nothing. But what was important, what I did gain from this whole camp, was the feeling that those people who have been in there have experienced. And I don't know if they prepared for that. And that I can see, and now watching back on the fights, when they come unsettled. And like I say, there's those two guys who had that in them that were not unsettled, and we've seen those fights go the distance. Those that kept their composure, those that not necessarily showed courage under fire, but kept their composure, didn't fall apart. And that's very interesting.
Given how battle-tested you are, and you look at his record in comparison to yours, and the opponents in comparison to yours, do you feel a little bit disrespected that he's being so adamant about fighting?
Mike is battle-tested as well, and that is another thing psychologically I'm not going to play into. You know, even though he has got a head guard on, he's got those big soft gloves and those big things on his feet, He's been in hundreds of fights before. He comes from a fighting family. Mike has experience. So let's not let that be an advantage to me or a disadvantage to him that he doesn't have the MMA experience that I have. My ability, what I have and what I do is what is going to win this fight, not experience.
And just on that, just second to last question, there obviously was an expectation that we were going to see a face-off today. Do you think it was wise of Scott Coker to say, no, let's bin that?
No, not really. I'm in a very chilled, excited mood, and I almost feel like I did what I had to do at that press conference, and he did his best to try and put me into place where he wanted me to be, and I just feel like that didn't happen for him. It wouldn't have happened at the face-off. I'm just ready to fight Mike. I just don't see how this guy can beat me. He's not going to win, and he will get knocked out. It is what it is.
And finally, the last question. I put it to MVP how he sees this playing out. He thinks that this is going to be a long, drawn-out beating. Does that suit you, it being a long, drawn-out fight, or would you rather see it obviously quickly over? Do you feel the same is what I'm saying? Do you want to exact a little bit of punishment on him too?
The longer it goes, the worse it gets for Michael Page. The longer it goes, the worse it gets for Michael Page. Let's believe that. And I don't really care. I mean, I've never tied in a fight as far as I can remember. I'm in supreme condition. If he wants to fight for 25 minutes, I can do that. But if there's anyone that's going to be in the end of a beating, it will be him. And I tend not to do beatings. I do knockouts. So if it is what it is, Michael Page will get knocked out.
Boom.